so that our worker is comfortable and can walk across, because this is a high technology industry. Capital investments will be high. So to get the maximum benefit out of that capital investment, we should see the worker and his productivity as being as important as the capital goods that we buy or the plant and its layout. And the worker and his training and his capacity should be in position the day the plant is commissioned. So in fact, when I was talking to some people from overseas on this, they were saying that this is one area where you should not forget to pay enough attention to. Because if you put the fab facility, unless the worker there is really trained, or you put others high technology items, you need a very highly skilled, dedicated workforce. And investment in that workers' training is as important as in the layout and the physical infrastructure. But I think we are smart enough and we will get this right also. The final part of the chain, which I think is right, is that for the first time in our history in recent times, we have a strong entrepreneurial base emerging. Historically, it was only people in business whose children went into business. Last 10, 15 years, a lot of young people whose families were not in business, who didn't grow up understanding profit and loss and accounts, have acquired technical education and have got that fire in the belly to go out and create firms and succeed. We are seeing it on the software side or on the IT or the entertainment side. Extraordinary results, and in the services side, the most remarkable one was a flyer that I got in Delhi the other day, and then saw it in one newspaper, of somebody who's wanting to give home delivery of old Delhi Chandni Chowk food, which is the puris and the kachoris and the jalebi, in 30 minutes. And he's tying up with the well-known shops there for that kind of delivery. So that entrepreneurial energy is there in India. My hope is that this package of measures which government has put together would lead to an unleashing of entrepreneurial energy in manufacturing in this sector. And if you have a lot of smart entrepreneurs, a lot of young people who know what they're about, and I also see this synergy between our expatriate Indian community in the United States and their friends and relatives in India, and many of them anyway operate in these two, one continent, work in the subcontinent together. I think we will see a breakthrough and a transition. So to sum up, I think we have the ecosystem in India in the market for success, and we have a very intelligent set of policy interventions which would be enablers for a dramatic breakthrough. And at the end of the day, it is the size of the Indian market, the purchasing power, and the talent and the hunger of entrepreneurs for success and returns in the market which will work together to give us the breakthrough and the success in high volume mass manufacturing. But before I end, I do need to recognize that this is going to be difficult, because this is a very high technology area where technology is evolving very fast, it is changing fast, there are entrenched players, and it is a global market of volumes and low prices. So those who enter the market here have to recognize that you need volumes, you need to move down the cost curve very fast, and you need to compete with the best in the world. But, and that is the but, that in an industry where technology is moving fast, you can actually come in, and come in if the ecosystem is right. There are enough people who can come in with the next generation technologies. When you come in with the next generation technologies, you're through with a bang. And again, referring to the telecom sector, late 80s, we saw a little bit of that in what Sam Petroda achieved with CDOT. But that was a public sector driven initiative. This time the government is smart and is recognizing that it has to be entrepreneur driven, it has to be market driven, it has to be investors, established incumbents in the global supply chain, established global majors, plus new startups from India and from across the world. So a mix of new startups, new technology entrepreneurs, established players, efforts by the established incumbents to relocate some of their supply chains in India. One other factor which is positive, which is going for us, and I think I should mention it, and that is that after Fukushima in Japan, suddenly global majors saw a wisdom in what business people call the plus ones approach. So in your supply chain, you need to ensure that if you are a really global major, you are not critically dependent or vulnerable to one source, which could lead to a potential risk for a disruption of supply. So question of hedging and creating plus one sources of supply is being seen as global majors in global markets as a sound business strategy. And it seems worth their while to even invest a little in creating the supply chain, which is plus one to their existing supply chain. Now that gives India a historic window of opportunity, and it gives a historic window of opportunity across the industrial sector. But this is one sector, because of the size of the market and the speed at which it is growing, this is a bigger plus factor for us. So I think given all this, as I said, I am very optimistic that we are as a country at an inflection point, and therefore I'm glad to be here and to be sharing my thoughts with you at what I think is a historic juncture. Thank you. I'd be glad to take any questions, Simon.
How are you addressing in the last few years, there's a quantum jump in the technology that is required for mass manufacturing part of it. Does your commission address that aspect?
I think something wrong with the mic system. Could you repeat yourself slowly, or remove the mic from your...
The electronic industry in the country, they stopped manufacturing activities almost about 2 decades back.
Yeah.
Now we are reopening that. In this time, there is a quantum jump in the technology which is adopted in the field of electronics. Does the commission have got any plans to address that aspect, technology aspect?
I was trying to refer to this in saying that at one level we are starting from scratch. I mean, I'll be honest. But I think in a globalized market where technology, capital moves quickly, I think incumbents will relocate supply chains in India and bring technology with them. And smarter entrepreneurs will create the new generation of technologies in this country. So what you will see is a mix of two. One is incumbents relocating the supply chain because of the cost advantages and the business case for it. They could do it by persuading members of their supply chain to set up shop in India, enter into joint ventures, licensing arrangements, the traditional gamut of manufacturing. But I also see smarter entrepreneurs creating the new generation of technologies, and that also entering into manufacturing. So a combination of both should give the critical momentum in a few years. But you're right, that either we will get the critical momentum in the next 2-3 years and be a major player, or we will not. But I believe that for the reasons I was enumerating in my remarks, I think we have got it right and we have a fair chance of success.
Well, probably a very close look at the Chinese model, which China was nowhere about 25 years back, and today they are leading in the mass manufacturing technology part of it. So from the government side, a very close study of the Chinese model and what are the factors.
I believe that we have got our model which is suited to us right, and that's what I was trying to explain, because we are India and we will remain India. So we have to build on our strengths and see how we become global leaders, rather than say that we'll change our DNA and we'll become the Koreans or the Chinese or whatever. So we will succeed on our strengths, and we have enough strengths in our country today and enough success to be optimistic. I mean, I wouldn't have been saying this with this kind of confidence 15 years back or 10 years back.
Yeah. What we have seen is that most of the manufacturing companies in India, they are subject to a purview of 8 to 12 different departments, which leads to different compliances, audits, assessments, and inspections. So is the council doing anything to address this?
You are absolutely right, and we believe this should be, and we have been saying so repeatedly, that this should be the foremost challenge and objective before government. If we want to succeed in mass manufacturing and if we want to succeed in employment generation for our young people, and we want to create 100 million jobs, which the national manufacturing aspires for, and which I think India must achieve if it is to succeed and not face serious social problems. So one of the suggestions we have made, and I seek the support of all of you in getting this across to our political leaders, is that if you take something like labor, there are about 44 labor laws on the statute book, all written in the late 19th and early 20th century. A lot of it is addressing concerns of early industrialization at that point of time with technologies of that point of time. So one simple reform, which is easy, is that we just rewrite these laws in 2 or 3 simple laws, or just one law as the company law is, and write it in the language of the 21st century, make it simple and user-friendly, without attempting any reform in terms of substance of workers' rights or his welfare or his safety. It would, if you just consolidate the reporting requirements and make it user-friendly and the compliance requirements suitable to the 21st century, you have a great liberation for a small entrepreneur, because a large firm can look after the regulatory and transaction costs of 44 labor laws. But I know so many small entrepreneurs who are not wanting to grow big because they said, I can't handle this. So I'd much rather stay small or open another small unit in the name of my wife, daughter, nephew, niece. So this, I think, is a reform agenda which we need to bring to the center of the table. Because it is different from asking for labor market flexibility or radical reforms. What I am suggesting is just rewrite these 44 laws into user-friendly, simple laws, preserving the same levels of workers' rights, welfare, and protection. Then if at a political level there is a feeling that some tweaking is possible somewhere, the political leaders can take a call. But this is change of form and not of substance, which will act as a great positive for all entrepreneurs in India.
Thank you. If I understood your argument about the possibility of a big bang inflection, the argument was from India looking outside, right, with respect to our consumption and our requirements. With respect to incentives for people coming in, bringing in the technology, do you think the MCIPs address that sufficiently to make it attractive for a global player to come in and set up supply chain in India?
My belief is that A, the +1 hedging strategy, 2, the creation of an ecosystem for cost-effective manufacturing through the clusters, through the training mission, and through the capital investment subsidy, and the size of the Indian market. And the fab facility, where we have really gone the extra mile to give what it takes to get 2 commercial plants going. So maybe in 1 or 2 other critical areas, government could consider that as we go along.
Well, that was the first keynote address today, but keynote address 7 in the 2-day deliberations. Thank you very much.